Have you seen that viral TikTok from Boricuas Unidos en la Diáspora? It perfectly exposed how Puerto Rico is losing an estimated $4.4 billion in public revenue because of Act 60, the so-called Incentives Code. They showed that this lost money could have funded our schools, our hospitals, and fixed our failing infrastructure. Instead, it's just fueling a tax haven for wealthy outsiders. They're absolutely right about the exploitation. But here's what they don't explain. How would independence stop it? How could a sovereign Puerto Rico, left to face global investors all alone, protect its people from the very same forces that are already devouring the island? And when you look at statehood, the truth is even more grim. Since 2016, the U.S. UN-imposed Fiscal Control Board, La Junta, has turned Puerto Rico into a playground for millionaires from the mainland. They come in, buy up land tax-free, flip entire neighborhoods into luxury resorts, and have the nerve to call it progress. Meanwhile, our public schools are closing, our hospitals are losing funding, and the power grid is constantly collapsing, leaving families in the dark. Act 60 isn't an economic plan. It's a modern colonial experiment designed to transfer wealth from working Puerto Ricans to the ultra-elite. Look at this map. Nearly the entire island, 98%, was labeled an opportunity zone by the US government. But whose opportunity is it, really? It's not for the people who live here. It's for investors who can buy up our land without paying taxes, turning public spaces into their private profits. These laws were never about growth for us. They're about ownership, who owns the land, and ultimately, who owns our future. And believe me, we've seen this playbook before. Over a century ago, Spain had a law called the Leyes de Terrenos Baldíos, or the Vacant Lands Law. It was meant to verify land ownership. But when the United States invaded in 1898, they twisted that law and used it to seize land from Puerto Ricans. Families who couldn't produce official titles lost the farms that had been in their families for generations. Where did that land go? It was handed over to US corporations backed by Wall Street. One of the biggest winners was the American Sugar Refining Company, which you might know as Domino Sugar. By 1920, just 4 US sugar companies controlled over half of all of Puerto Rico's arable land. Domino Sugar built a global empire, not through innovation, but through colonial lawfare. They exploited Spain's old land regulations, which were then enforced by US courts, to dispossess Puerto Ricans of their farms. It was perfectly legal then, just like Act 60 is perfectly legal now. Back then, the commodity was sugar. Today, it's real estate. Tomorrow, it could be your home. While independence activists rightly warn of this exploitation, the statehood party sells a different fantasy, that somehow equality under the US flag will save us. But let's be honest with ourselves, statehood would only cement Washington's control. US corporations would gain full, unrestricted legal access to buy and dominate our land, all under federal protection. Our local politicians, many already deep in corruption, would bend the knee even further to corporate donors and federal agencies, just as they're doing right now. Statehood doesn't liberate us. It locks the colonial system in place, forever. But there is another path, one that breaks from both of these failed extremes. Autonomy with Spain. As an autonomous community, Puerto Rico would keep full self-government through its own parliament and president. We would gain European labor and housing protections that are designed to prevent displacement and gentrification. We would access EU funds for education, infrastructure, and healthcare. And finally, we could hold our leaders accountable under a transparent, constitutional framework. It's a clean slate, a rebirth, not as a colony, but as an equal within a family of nations. The independence movement correctly identified the disease. The statehood movement would only let it spread. Only autonomy with Spain offers the cure. A return to dignity, to our culture, and to true self-governance under the protection of a modern democratic European Union. Puerto Rico deserves to own its land again, to rebuild its schools, to keep its wealth right here at home. Because the last time the United States gained full power over Puerto Rico's land, we lost everything. Let's not make that same mistake again. For those who say the United States is the best thing that ever happened to Puerto Rico, remember this day. Join the movement. Become a believer and a supporter of the National Puerto Rico and Spain Initiative. Visit our website at tnprsi.org.